everybody. Welcome to another edition of Inside the Vinyl. I'm your host, Tim Bianconi. If you would go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel below, that would be greatly appreciated. If you could also hit that notification bell so you can be notified when we put out new content, that would be appreciated also. And we recently started a Facebook page, so if you go to Facebook, search Inside the Vinyl, you should find our profile. Give us a follow. Hopefully at some point soon we'll be a little more interactive with that, beyond just posting links to the videos. I'd love to get on there and just have like some, different discussions and things about, vinyl and different records and, whatever. And all sorts of stuff. So eventually I want to move all the vinyl stuff from like my personal page over to the Inside the Vinyl page. And then once I do, everything will get a little more interactive. So check us out there. But today, what I wanted to focus on was another greatest hits. And again, the greatest hits is a kind of just a loose title of just a series. It can be any kind of compilation, and that's certainly the case here, because we are going to talk about 1982's Kiss Killers. So I don't know that there's ever been an official American release for this, but it has been released in a lot of other countries around the world. You'll find a German version that has the alternate Kiss logo. There's versions from Australia and everywhere else. This happens to be the Japanese version, as you can see by the, I don't know, is it just called an OB or an OBI or something like that? I'm not really sure, but this has one. So this is pretty cool. So there you go, front cover of Kiss Killers, with them looking, with them in their 1981 hairdos and outfits and stuff. And then, of course, if you go to the back, almost ripped something. You've got the track listing and all that. So let's talk about this album for a minute before we take a look inside. So again, it's called Kiss Killers. It was originally released on June 15th of 1982. This particular one, they all came out on the Casablanca label, but again, this particular one is the Japanese version. Again, producers vary, everyone from Bob Ezrin, Eddie Kramer, Vinnie Poncia, Michael James Jackson, Kenny Kerner, Richie Wise, Neil Bogart, because again, it's a best of, so it's just all the producers of the different records. Again, I don't think there's ever been an official American release of this, so there is no Billboard information on it. However, it did reach as high as number 27 in Japan, number 21 in Australia, and number 42 in the UK. There's no gold or platinum certifications in America, but this album has been certified gold in Australia. Because again, while Kiss's popularity in America was declining in the early 80s, they were doing really, really well in Australia, and having hits over there that they weren't having over here, and I guess it's just kind of followed suit. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we got here. So I'm going to slide this off if I can without destroying anything, just so we can get, the entire view of the record here. All right. So again, here we have Kiss Killers. And again, on the front cover, it is Kiss in their 1981 Music from the Elder outfit there. And again, track listing on the back. And we'll cover it a little more later, but there actually are a couple of extra songs on the Japanese version that aren't on most other versions. So let's see what we have on the inside. So we do have an insert, and then of course we have the record itself. And I don't think there's anything else in here. All right, there is not. All right. I really hate these kind of inner sleeves. I need to replace that, but haven't gotten that far yet. All right, so if we look at the insert, on one side, you've got what I assume is all of the information that's on the other side here. It's just in this case, it's all in Japanese. I assume that's liner notes and lyrics and everything else. I could be wrong, but that's what I assume. And then, of course, if you flip it over, you have all the lyrics, not only to all the hits, but even the newly recorded songs that were recorded for this compilation. So that's pretty cool. And the vinyl itself, again, I hate this kind of sleeve just because they're kind of hard to deal with, personally. But if I pull the record out and get it straightened out here, you can see they did use the same Casablanca Record and Filmworks inside sticker that they would use in America or any other country. So I love how, if nothing else, there is at least, I guess it's continuity or whatever, amongst all the foreign releases of Kiss records. They all seem to have some level of the Casablanca sticker in the middle, which is pretty cool. So same on side 2. All right. So let me get this reassembled, and then we can talk about this for a minute. Because again, this is one of my favorite compilations, and I actually had I guess it was the German version. I think it was the German version. I'm not sure. I don't remember because I don't remember if it had the normal Kiss logo or the German Kiss logo. Which again, the S's look different because of obvious swastika and other reasons. They don't have that. So let me see if I can get this reassembled. Anyway. Again, I need to change that inner sleeve and put something a little more normal in there because those kind of sleeves just don't really want to slide back into the jacket all that well, in my opinion. Anyway, so there you go, Kiss Killers. All right, so like I said, this is the Japanese version. So on any version of it, there were 4 new songs that they recorded for the record. They're all Paul Stanley sung songs. One's called I'm a Legend Tonight. The next is Down on Your Knees. And then on side 2, you have Nowhere to Run, which is a pretty popular song, and Partners in Crime. So there were 4 new songs recorded for this, and then the rest of it were all songs from previous albums. Now, the cool thing about those 4 songs is again, they're Paul Stanley songs. You know, it doesn't sound like they got the full production as far as, they don't sound fully produced. They almost sound demo-y, but they're still good. And it really was kind of a transition between, because, Kiss in 79 and 1980 made 2 really pop-oriented albums. And then in 81, they made The Elder, which was like Kiss trying to be Pink Floyd. So, they alienated a lot of fans, with making these, kind of off-center albums or whatever you want to call them. So, before they went back in and did Creatures of the Night and got themselves back to being a hard rock band, I feel like these 4 songs, as simple as they are, were a good transition from, the kind of weirdness of The Elder to what, to the hard rock, almost metal that Creatures of the Night would become. So definitely a good transition to kind of show like, hey, we're back, and just, like stick with us here for a minute. But, I do like those 4 songs, especially Nowhere to Run. I think Nowhere to Run had proper release and singles and all that, like in America or anywhere else would have been a huge hit. That's my opinion. Take it for what it is. But yeah, so I really like those songs. Now, as far as the compilation part of the album, all the old songs that were on here, I think this compilation is really cool because it's not the most obvious tracks. It's not the most obvious songs that you would get on every other. I mean, there's a few like Love Guns on here, Shout It Out Loud, Detroit Rock City, I Was Made for Loving You, Rockin' All Night. Of course, those are all included. But then you've got some other songs on here, that maybe in America, maybe in America aren't the first songs you would think of when you think of like a Kiss compilation. So, you've got Cold Gin, which I know is popular like in concert, but doesn't always appear on every Greatest Hits album. You've got Escape from the Island, which is from The Elder, the instrumental song that mostly features Bob Ezra and Ace Frehley and Eric Carr. So that's a cool inclusion on this. And again, that Escape from the Island is only on the Japanese version. Every other version of this only has 12 songs. The Japanese version has 14 songs. And then when you go to side 2, you've got God of Thunder, which I guess that's included in a lot of places. But you've also got Shandy, which is kind of cool because that was a big hit in Australia from the Unmasked record. So again, you don't have all of the common songs. You've got a handful, but you do have a couple that may not always be on every Kiss compilation that you've ever seen. So I think that's kind of cool, and just give something a little bit different. It's not just like a rerun of like double platinum or whatever or anything like that. So, and like I said, I lost the previous version I had in a house fire a couple of years ago. And I still had the record, but the cover was destroyed. And I wasn't sure. I mean, that's not something you just find a random cover for in a store somewhere to be able to replace, from like a $2 bin or something like that. So I was like, I guess I'll never have that again. And then local record store in town, the owner goes to Japan a couple times a year and comes back with like thousands or hundreds of whatever of records. And I remember going in there late after, the Japanese sale, started or whatever. And just kind of thumbing through to see what was left, and this was there, and I was so stoked because not only did I finally have a replacement, but I had the Japanese version, which is superior because, again, it's got 2 extra songs, and those 2 extra songs are cool as fuck. So it was like, man, that worked out, like I got a replacement and I got a better version of it than what I had. So, grateful for that, grateful for this version, and again, a really cool kind of like not the normal Kiss compilation. So if you can get yourself a copy of this, again, I don't know that there's ever been an official release in America, but you might be able to find this on digital formats and, maybe be able to order, a CD. I'm not entirely sure. I know there's ways you can get it. I'm just not sure if it's available in all streaming formats or whatever. I think they did include it in that big like road case box set thing they did like 10 years ago or whatever that was. So anyway, so check it out. If nothing else, I think the four newly recorded songs here are also part of the big version of the Creatures of the Night anniversary box set that came out a few years ago. So check that out. You won't be disappointed. That's all I've got for you this time. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified when we put out new content. Also, go to our Facebook page and give us a follow there. I've got the rest of my greatest hits series that is, we're building to be bigger and bigger. So more and more videos coming out for that. I've got my live album series. I've got a Lost Classic series. I have an unboxing playlist out there, so check those out. I do a lot of unboxing when new releases and stuff come out. I've got some live footage from concerts and festivals over the last few years. I've got some disc golf stuff out there, and I've even got a couple of short documentary films that I did for school. So check all that stuff out. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Peace out.